Good morning, everyone. So today is 15th of May 2026 and we'll start with the analysis of today's The Hindu. So अभी हम एक मिनट वेट कर लेते हैं, देखते हैं कि बहुत सारे स्टूडेंट्स ऐसे हैं जो वेटिंग में हैं बट उन्होंने अभी तक ज्वाइन नहीं किया है. So let's start now. Five students have joined the class, so we can start now. So today we have a lot of important news items that we'll be discussing in today's class. So keep this class very interesting. आज आप लोगों पे भी थोड़ी सी रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी है इस क्लास को इंटरेस्टिंग रखने की. एंड रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी इन व्हाट सेंस कि आप लोगों को आज प्रॉपर क्वेश्चंस पूछने, बिकॉज देर आर अ फ्यू वेरी इंटरेस्टिंग टॉपिक्स जो हम आज की क्लास में डिस्कस करने वाले हैं. तो आप अपना पूरा फोकस जो है वो इस क्लास पे रखिएगा. सो अब ये तो हो गई सारी ज्ञानवर्धन वाली बातें. अब ज्ञानवर्धन वाली बातों को साइड में करके विल स्टार्ट विद आवर डिस्कशन नाउ. सो वन बाय वन हम न्यूज आइटम्स को कवर करना स्टार्ट करते हैं. सो लेट्स स्टार्ट विद द फर्स्ट न्यूज आइटम दैट वी हैव विद अस, एंड दिस इज बेसिकली So this is a very unfortunate turn of events which have taken place in Uttar Pradesh, where 111 people have lost their lives because of the unseasonal storms, and the magnitude of these storms is huge because the Russian president has also tweeted about the same. He has, extended his condolences for all the people who have lost their lives, and Uttar Pradesh government is also taking sufficient measures to, minimize the impact of this unseasonal storm. Right, 111 individuals have lost their lives, and more than 72 people are injured. So you can understand the magnitude of this natural calamity कि जितने लोग मरे हैं, मरने वालों की संख्या ज्यादा है as compared to the persons who are injured. Good morning, everyone. Now we can start now. We'll start now. So academically, there is nothing relevant in this न्यूज आइटम, बट व्हेन आई से अकेडमिकली, सो अकेडमिकली मतलब क्लैट या किसी और लॉ एंट्रेंस एग्जामिनेशन परस्पेक्टिव से ये इंपॉर्टेंट नहीं है, बट फॉर लाइक the better understanding of how international geopolitics works, ये एक important चीज हो सकती है क्योंकि रशियन प्रेसिडेंट ने ट्वीट किया. सो इट मीन्स दैट कि ये थोड़ी सी हमारे लिए इंपॉर्टेंट न्यूज आइटम है. नाउ विल मूव टू द सेकंड important highlight of the day, and from the front page, and this is basically a senior Congress leader, Mr. VD Satishan, has been appointed as the next chief minister of Kerala. So in Kerala the situation was very dicey. Indian National Congress was not able to take a very concrete and a very proper decision. So finally, after all the discussion and the debate, they have finally decided that Mr. VD Satishan will take charge as the new chief minister of Kerala. Now KC Venugopal was also in the race. KC Venugopal के बारे में हम लोगों ने डिस्कस किया था. KC Venugopal is the current chairperson of the Public Accounts Committee. So he was also in the race of becoming the next chief minister of Kerala. But at the ground level or at the local level in Kerala, people were not in the favor or were not supporting Mr. KC Venugopal. So finally it is decided that Mr. VD Satishan will be the next chief minister of Kerala, and also the current or the ex chief minister of Kerala, Mr. Pinarayi Vijayan, he is going to be the leader of opposition. So this is something which is very interesting. And Tamil Nadu के जो governor थे राजेंद्र विश्वनाथ आलेकर, he is also the governor of Kerala. So he will administer the oath to the next chief minister of Kerala, Mr. VD Satishan. Now this is something which we will discuss in detail, and this is a very important news item that we'll be covering in today's newspaper analysis, and this is uneasy truce in Beijing as Trump and Xi discusses trade and Taiwan. So America is world's largest economy. It is world's most powerful. It has world's most powerful military, and China is also the second largest economy in the world. It is the second most populous country in the world, and it has the world's most advanced manufacturing sector. तो अभी जब ये Donald Trump is on an official visit to China, 3 day का ये visit है, 13th, 14th और 15th of May 2026 को ये विजिट हो रहा है, और अभी ये विजिट चल ही रहा है. आज ये विजिट खत्म होगी डोनाल्ड ट्रम्प की. अब इस पूरे विजिट के टाइम पे चाइना हैज असर्टेड वन थिंग वेरी क्लियरली, दैट चाइना is not in the favor of the fact that United States of America is supplying a lot of arms and ammunitions to Taiwan, because for a very long period of time, China has asserted the fact that Taiwan belongs to the People's Republic of China. It is an absolute essential part of the People's Republic of China. So we'll discuss about the conflict between China and Taiwan, that why there is such a huge enmity between the two countries, and why China is asserting its claim over the ताइवान। तो हम ये सारी चीजें डिस्कस कर लेते हैं। नाउ लेट्स स्टार्ट आवर डिस्कशन नाउ। और आपके प्लीज अगर कुछ भी क्वेश्चंस होंगे तो प्लीज आस्क योर क्वेश्चंस, बिकॉज आस्किंग क्वेश्चंस इज ऑफ utmost importance. China Taiwan conflict. So when we talk about this China Taiwan conflict, students, the history is old, history is long, and we'll start with the static portion of this particular discussion. So just give me a minute. I Right. So when we talk about this China Taiwan conflict, China and Taiwan conflict, so सबसे पहले अगर आपसे स्टैटिक के एस्पेक्ट पे मैं पूछूं दैट व्हाट वाज द अर्लियर नेम ऑफ ताइवान, एनीवन, व्हाट वाज द अर्लियर नेम ऑफ ताइवान? Formosa. Formosa was the earlier name of Taiwan. Now, this was the earlier name of Taiwan, so there is nothing relevant that we have to discuss. And the next important point that we have to discuss is China and Taiwan are separated by Strait of Taiwan. Right. China, here we have China, here we have Taiwan, and this is Strait of Taiwan. चाइना जितना भी नेवल एक्टिविटी करता है वो स्ट्रेट ऑफ ताइवान में करता है. इट्स अ काइंड ऑफ थ्रेट जो चाइना हमेशा यूज करता है. ये बेसिकली ये बताने के लिए कि वी हैव स्ट्रॉन्ग होल्ड ओवर योर territory. So now we'll move to the next point. So the next point is Taiwan came, when did Taiwan came under Chinese control? So Taiwan came under Chinese control during the time period of Qing dynasty. Now this is the first historical development, and after this it was given to Japan, and after this it was given to Japan when China lost what? China lost what? China lost the first Sino-Japanese war. When China lost the first Sino-Japanese war in 1895. So in 1895, Japan took over the control of Taiwan after defeating China in the first Sino-Japanese war, and subsequently, with the reference of Japan, or with reference to Japan, the second important development took place in 1945 when Japan lost in Second World War. So China regained the control of Japan in China regained the control of Taiwan. China regained the control of Taiwan in 1945 after Japan was defeated in World War II. Now, what happened? China regained the control in 1945. Then after regaining the control over Taiwan in 1945, there was this conflict, internal conflict that was going on in China. अब वहां पर क्या हुआ? पूरा कम्युनिस्ट रेवोल्यूशन जो सॉर्ट ऑफ चीजें थी वो स्टार्ट हो गई. फिर इसके बाद क्या हुआ? अब इसके बाद जो नेक्स्ट इंपॉर्टेंट डेवलपमेंट हुआ स्टूडेंट्स, वो क्या था? थर्ड इंपॉर्टेंट डेवलपमेंट. सो थर्ड इंपॉर्टेंट डेवलपमेंट वाज दैट communist became victorious in 1949 और उन्होंने मेन लैंड में अपनी गवर्नमेंट फॉर्म कर ली। और ये मेन लैंड ही आज की डेट में हम किस नाम से जानते हैं? पीपल्स रिपब्लिक ऑफ चाइना, जिसको हम लोग क्या बोलते हैं? चाइना। चाइना, राइट। सो पीपल्स रिपब्लिक ऑफ चाइना इज बेसिकली चाइना। और इसी पे कम्युनिस्ट पार्टी, कम्युनिस्ट गवर्नमेंट की विक्ट्री हुई। सो 1949 में चाइना वाज formed as a new country, or it was basically it became China in 1949. And what happened with reference to Taiwan? So Taiwan के reference से next important development क्या हुआ? So I'll change the shade, और आपको ये याद रखना है with reference to Taiwan. अब ताइवान के रेफरेंस से ये चीज इंपॉर्टेंट हुई कि कम्युनिस्ट गवर्नमेंट वाज फॉर्म्ड इन द मेन लैंड ऑफ चाइना, और नेशनलिस्ट गवर्नमेंट जो थी वो कहां पे फॉर्म हुई? ताइवान में। अब ये जो पूरा कॉन्फ्लिक्ट चल रहा था चाइना में, वो कम्युनिस्ट और नेशनलिस्ट के बीच में ही चल रहा था। जब पूरा स्ट्रॉन्ग होल्ड कम्युनिस्ट का हो गया, किसके ऊपर? चाइना के ऊपर, तो जितने भी नेशनलिस्ट थे वो कहां चले गए? ताइवान में चले गए, और उन्होंने वहां पर नेशनलिस्ट गवर्नमेंट फॉर्म की 1949 में ताइवान में। ठीक है, तो तब से लेकर के अब तक चाइना कॉन्टिन्यूसली असर्ट करता आ रहा दैट ताइवान बिलोंग्स टू द पीपल्स रिपब्लिक ऑफ चाइना। एंड व्हाट आई बिलीव, जितना मुझे समझ में आता है, कि जी जिनपिंग का जो पूरा टर्म है एज द प्रेसिडेंट ऑफ चाइना, उनके पूरे टर्म का सबसे बड़ा अचीवमेंट जी जिनपिंग के लिए यही होगा कि अगर वो ताइवान को वापस चाइना में इंटीग्रेट कर देते हैं, राइट। सो नाउ द नेक्स्ट इंपॉर्टेंट पॉइंट इज, सो बेसिकली चाइना काफी लंबे टाइम से एक पॉलिसी पे असर्ट करता आ रहा है। एंड व्हाट इज दैट पॉलिसी? वन चाइना पॉलिसी। एंड व्हाट इज वन चाइना पॉलिसी? So one China policy strongly believes that China plus Taiwan is China. China का integral part है Taiwan. So this is one China policy. Now, when we talk about United States of America, students, one thing we have to understand that United States of America acknowledges one China policy. It acknowledges the policy, but it doesn't recognize. But it doesn't recognize China's sovereignty over ताइवान। सो चाइना, यूनाइटेड स्टेट्स ऑफ अमेरिका ये चीज एक्सेप्ट करता है कि वन चाइना पॉलिसी जैसी कोई चीज एग्जिस्ट करती है, बट एट द सेम टाइम यूनाइटेड स्टेट्स ऑफ अमेरिका चाइना की सॉवरेनिटी को रिकॉग्नाइज नहीं करता है ताइवान के ऊपर, राइट। तो ये एक इंपॉर्टेंट फैक्ट इसलिए भी हो जाता है कि यूनाइटेड स्टेट्स ऑफ अमेरिका यूनाइटेड स्टेट्स ऑफ अमेरिका सेल्स अ लॉट ऑफ वेपन्स टू ताइवान। और इस करंट कॉन्टेक्स्ट में एक चीज और इंपॉर्टेंट हो जाती है। एक और इंपॉर्टेंट चीज, अगर आप लोग काफी लंबे टाइम से न्यूज़पेपर पढ़ रहे होंगे तो आपको पता होगा शायद ये चीज, कि रिसेंटली जो ताइवान की फॉरेन मिनिस्टर है, एंड हु इज द फॉरेन मिनिस्टर ऑफ ताइवान, लीडर ऑफ ऑपोजिशन ऑफ ताइवान इज चेंग लीवून। चेंग ली वून, लीडर ऑफ ऑपोजिशन ताइवान, लीडर ऑफ ऑपोजिशन ताइवान। ये अभी चाइना की विजिट पर थी, तो आप इनका नाम याद रखेंगे। चेंग ली वून इज द लीडर ऑफ ऑपोजिशन ऑफ ताइवान। शी वाज ऑन ऑफिशियल विजिट टू चाइना। और अब इसके बाद जो ताइवान की गवर्नमेंट है वो बहुत ज़्यादा इस पूरे मूव को क्रिटिसाइज कर रही थी, दैट बेसिकली द लीडर ऑफ ऑपोजिशन इज सपोर्टिंग द फैक्ट दैट चाइना हैज़ एब्सोल्यूट कंट्रोल ओवर ताइवान, और ताइवान शुड बिकम एन इंटीग्रल पार्ट ऑफ चाइना। तो वो चीज़ हमारे लिए इंपॉर्टेंट नहीं है। बट करंट में एक चीज़ और इंपॉर्टेंट हुई थी कि गिवन द करंट जियोपॉलिटिकल सिचुएशन, ताइवान ऑलवेज फील थ्रेटेंड कि चाइना कभी भी उस पर अटैक कर सकता है। तो उन्होंने बहुत ही हिस्टोरिक डिफेंस बजट प्रपोज किया था, $40 बिलियन का डिफेंस बजट प्रपोज किया था, $40 बिलियन का। बट पार्लियामेंट ने सिर्फ $25.2 बिलियन का बजट अप्रूव किया। सो दैट इज ऑल्सो a huge amount for a country like Taiwan. 25.2 billion US dollars only for the डेवलपमेंट ऑफ डिफेंस इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर। और यूनाइटेड स्टेट्स ऑफ अमेरिका को इसीलिए बेनिफिट है क्योंकि ये जो 25.2 बिलियन डॉलर डिफेंस इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर को स्ट्रेंथन करने के लिए एलोकेट किया गया, इसमें से मैक्सिमम जो परचेजिंग होगी वो कहाँ से होगी? यूनाइटेड स्टेट्स ऑफ अमेरिका से होगी। सो यूनाइटेड स्टेट्स ऑफ अमेरिका गेट सर्टेन बेनिफिट्स फ्रॉम दिस पर्टिकुलर अरेंजमेंट। दैट्स व्हाई दे acknowledge the US China policy, but they never recognize China's sovereignty over Taiwan. सो उनका बेसिकली क्या है कि चाइना के साथ में भी रिलेशंस ठीक हैं और ताइवान के साथ में भी रिलेशंस ठीक हैं। अगर रिलेशंस ठीक नहीं होते तो डोनाल्ड ट्रंप फिर किस तरीके से क्यों विजिट कर रहे हैं चाइना को? एंड ही इज द सेम पर्सन जो 2020 में ये बोलता था कि इट्स नॉट कोरोना वायरस, इट्स चाइना वायरस, राइट? एंड ही वाज आल्सो द लास्ट प्रेसिडेंट, डोनाल्ड ट्रंप वाज द लास्ट प्रेसिडेंट हु विजिटेड China in 2017. So after 9 years, a sitting US president is visiting China. So that is one important aspect. So please explain in English. So I'm explaining it in English only, right? So basically, the point we have to understand is that Donald Trump was the last president who visited Taiwan in 2017, and after China in 2017, and after 9 years, again Donald Trump is visiting China, and the reason is he wants to improve the relations with China, People's Republic of China. But there is a internal conflict. Not the internal conflict. There is a visible conflict, and the conflict is the US always recognize China's one China policy, which means that Taiwan is an integral part of China, but it never recognized China's sovereignty over Taiwan. China's sovereignty over Taiwan is never recognized by United States of America, and one of the reasons is that United States of America sells a lot of arms and ammunition to Taiwan, right? So this is one point which we have to understand. So this is entirely about this particular article जो अभी हमें discuss करना था. And Mr. Xi Jinping, he has a very strong personality, and he has said Chinese President Xi Jinping told visiting US President Donald Trump that relations could descend to clashes and conflicts if the Taiwan question, which he described as the most important issue in China-US relations, was not managed properly according to the Chinese readout of the talks. If it is handled properly, the bilateral relationship will enjoy overall stability. Now, this is what Mr. Xi Jinping has said, that the issue of Taiwan will decide the fate of the bilateral relations between China and United States of America. But the White House has maintained its position. And what is the position of White House? That White House has said कि जो पिछला position था, जो earlier position था with respect to Taiwan, United States of America will maintain the same position, right? So this is one important aspect. Now moving on to the next important point. So EC to hold SIR in 16 states and 3 UTs from May 30th. So we'll discuss this news in detail on page number 4, that which important provisions of the Constitution of India and which important provisions of the Representation of People's Act provides power or gives power to the Election Commission of India to conduct special intensive revision within the country. So we'll discuss it on page number 4. Then these are the all political news items. Now Mr. Suvendu Adhikari has given the passed an order. And what is this order? Singing of Vande Mataram is now mandatory in all state sponsored schools. जितने भी state sponsored schools हैं वहाँ पर अब वंदे मातरम गाना is compulsory now. So this is again order passed by Mr. Suvendu Adhikari, who is the first chief minister of Bharatiya Janata Party in the state of West Bengal. तो अभी वंदे मातरम को लेकर के we had a very important discussion जब अभी National Honors Act 1971 we were discussing, then 150 years of Vande Mataram when we were discussing. So we had a lot of discussion about that particular thing. Now so finally, one of the most important, or it might be one of the most important judgment of 2026 passed by the Honorable Supreme Court of India. And what is this judgment passed by the Honorable Supreme Court of India? So this judgment is basically related to the review petition filed in the case of Sabrimala judgment, right? So Sabrimala judgment का review petition से related ये जजमेंट है. नाउ विल मूव टू द नेक्स्ट पॉइंट. सो ये पूरा जो हियरिंग था वो कंक्लूड हो चुका है. ये चीज़ आप प्लीज़ याद रखिएगा, द हियरिंग हैज़ बीन कंक्लूडेड नाउ. सो विल सी कि अभी आगे क्या और चीज़ें हो सकती हैं, क्योंकि जजमेंट रिजर्व कर लिया. सुप्रीम कोर्ट ऑफ इंडिया हैज़ रिजर्व द जजमेंट बिकॉज द इंटायर हियरिंग हैज़ बीन कंक्लूडेड एंड दीज हियरिंग्स वर इनिशिएटेड अंडर आर्टिकल 137 ऑफ द इंडियन कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन. एंड व्हाट इज आर्टिकल 137 ऑफ द इंडियन कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन? Article 137 of the Indian Constitution, students, talks about the power to review its own judgment. Revision, review petition file करने का जो power होता है, that flows from Article 137 of the Indian Constitution. So recently in the Supreme Court of India, the 2018 judgment of the Apex Court, which was passed in the case of Young Indian Lawyers Association versus State of Kerala, which allowed the entry of women aged between 10 to 50 in the Sabrimala temple, was reviewed by the Honorable Supreme Court of India by using the powers given under Article 137. Right. So this is one important aspect. Then the Supreme Court of India, once the petition was filed in the Supreme Court of India, the Supreme Court of India constituted a 9 judges constitution bench to review its own judgment. The entire hearing started in the month of April 2026, and yesterday on 14th of May 2026, the entire hearing was concluded, and the Supreme Court of India has reserved its judgment, and it will pronounce the judgment in the upcoming days. So you can assure yourself that in the upcoming days. And what I believe and what I think about this particular judgment or hearing, I mean, this is just an observation क्योंकि मैं पूरा hearing बहुत closely follow कर रहा था. What I believe that the Supreme Court of India might reverse its 2018 judgment, because a lot of statements were made by the Supreme Court of India, which basically uh, uh, gave a lot of progressive uh, interpretation to freedom of religion, Article 25 and 26 specifically. Now we'll move to the next article that we have to discuss in today's analysis section, and the next article is related to the special intensive revision, and the second article is related to contempt of court. So basically, Delhi High Court has initiated the contempt of court proceedings against the former chief minister of uh, Delhi, Mr. Arvind Kejriwal, who is also the party president of Aam Aadmi Party. So basically, अभी ये जो contempt proceedings initiate की गई हैं against the Aam Aadmi Party's president, Mr. Arvind Kejriwal, and all the other leaders of Aam Aadmi Party, जिनके against Delhi excise policy का जो अपील था वो दिल्ली हाई कोर्ट में स्टार्ट होने वाला था, बट मिस्टर अरविंद केजरीवाल फाइल्ड अ रिक्यूजल पिटिशन before Justice Swarnakanta Sharma. Basically, Justice Swarnakanta Sharma was set to hear the appeal in the case of appeal in the excise case. And but Arvind Kejriwal filed a petition that Justice Swarnakanta Sharma should recuse from this particular hearing, because he presented a lot of facts which connected the involvement of Justice Swarnakanta Sharma with the political belief, or which support and lot of facts related to a specific situation ki Justice Swarnakanta Sharma is supporting the political belief of the current government. So finally Justice Swarnakanta Sharma has recused from the case, but contempt proceedings has been issued or initiated against all the leaders of Aam Aadmi Party who were involved in this excise duty case. And this is basically for vilifying the authority of the court, and also posting a lot of content on the social media, which ultimately led to the uh, 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 targeting of which ultimately led to the basically initiation of this contempt of court proceedings. And a lot of social media posts were made by all the leaders ki Justice Swarnakanta Sharma was targeted by all these political leaders. So now Delhi High Court has issued the contempt of court proceedings. So now we'll discuss one of the most important aspect for any law entrance examination in our country, and that is the concept of contempt of court. So students, when we talk about contempt of court, what do we understand by the term contempt? So contempt of court means any act which shows, अभी मैं इसको आपको एक्सप्लेन भी करूंगा, any act which shows disrespect or disobedience or disobedience disrespect or disobedience towards the court of law, and any action, and also it includes and it includes any statement which lowers the authority of the court. And this statement might be oral or written. So what do we understand by the phrase contempt of court? So contempt of court in layman's language, contempt of court in layman's language means by any action, if a presumption is set or the court believes that you are basically disrespecting the authority of the court or you are disobeying the order of the court, then it will amount contempt of court. And also through any statement, either verbal or written, either spoken or written, if you are lowering the authority of the court, then it will also amount the contempt of court. Now when we talk about the issue of contempt of court, please remember this point, please do remember this point, that contempt of court in India, contempt of court is dealt by a specific piece of legislation known as the Contempt of Court Act 1971. Contempt of court is dealt by, or is dealt under, the Contempt Court Act 1971. So this is the primary legislation which defines the or which deals with the issue of contempt of court in India. Now moving on to the next point. So now the contempt of court is basically, it regulates the power of court. And what is the primary objective of the court, Contempt of Court Act 1971? So primarily the Contempt of Court Act regulates the powers of the court, regulates the powers of the court to punish for its own contempt. So basically the Contempt of Court Act 1971 gives power to the courts that they can punish for their own contempt, right? So this is the next important aspect related to the Contempt of Court Act 1971 which you have to remember. Now Contempt of Court Act, this primary legislation distinguish between two types of contempt. And what are these two types of contempt? Anyone who has any idea about what are these two types of contempt which we are discussing here in this particular topic? What are these two types of contempt? So basically the next important point that we have to discuss, types of contempt So there are two types of contempt. And what are these two types of contempt? अभी ना थोड़ा सा ये चार्ट आप ऐसे बना लीजिएगा ताकि आपको थोड़ा सा याद रहे, वरना स्टेटमेंट और पॉइंटर्स के फॉर्म में लिखने से अच्छा है कि आप एक फ्लो चार्ट बना लीजिए. थिंग्स शुड बी बेटर फॉर यू. सो अब दो तरीके का कंटेम्प्ट होता है. अब ये दो तरीके का कंटेम्प्ट कौन कौन सा होता है? सो फर्स्ट वन इज सिविल कंटेम्प्ट and the second one is criminal contempt, right? So let's start with the discussion now. So the first one is civil contempt and the second one is criminal contempt. Now contempt of courts act 1971 deals with the civil and criminal contempt. Civil contempt has been defined under section 2 clause B of the act, whereas criminal contempt has been defined under section 2 clause C of the Contempt of Court Act 1971. Now let's understand what is the difference between the civil contempt and criminal contempt, because once yeah, you are absolutely correct, civil and criminal contempt, because once we are done with the understanding of civil and criminal contempt, you will understand a lot of things related to this entire concept, right? So let's start with our discussion now. So as per the section 2B of the Contempts of Court Act 1971, what do we understand by the term civil contempt, which is defined under section 2 clause B? So basically, willful disobedience to any judgment, willful disobedience to any judgment, decree, or order of the court, right? And it also includes willful disobedience of the process of the court. Now the most important term which has been used in this particular definition is willful. If you are doing something willfully, your intentions are absolutely clear that you want to disobey any judgment, decree, or direction, or any order passed by the court or any process of the court. अगर आप बिना intentions क्या कर रहे हैं, if the element of intention is missing, then it will not amount to civil contempt. But if all these things are done with the intention to disobey the order, judgment, or direction of the process of the court, then it will definitely amount to civil contempt. Now when we talk about criminal contempt, so basically criminal contempt is more severe in nature because it involves some kind of criminality, right? So what is criminal contempt? So basically any action that scandalizes, अब scandalizes का मतलब क्या होता है? Scandalization का मतलब होता है damaging the reputation of the court. Any action that scandalizes or lowers the authority of the court will amount to criminal contempt. Now we can further expand the term any action. What kind of action, what sort of actions will be considered under the definition of criminal contempt under section 2 clause C of the Contempts of Court Act 1971? So words spoken or written, words spoken or written, or by signs, or by or any sign, or by any sign, or any visual representation. So if any accused through words spoken or written, or by any sign or any visible representation is lowering the authority of the court or is damaging the reputation of the court, then it will amount to criminal contempt under section 2 clause C of the Contempts of Court Act 1971. Whereas under section 2 clause B of the Contempt of Court Act 1971, it defines the term civil contempt, which includes willful disobedience to any judgment, decree, or order of the court. So basically when you have when your intentions are to willfully defy the judgment, order, or any process of the court, then it will amount to the civil contempt under the Contempt of Court Act 1971. Now we had enough discussion, we already had enough discussion about the crime. Now once the crime is committed, the next important thing would be, award of punishment. So what is the prescribed punishment under the Contempts of Court Act 1971? So under the Contempts of Courts Act 1971, the prescribed punishment is imprisonment of up to 6 months or a fine of rupees 2000 or both. So this is the punishment under the Contempts of Court Act 1971. Now, the next important aspect related to the Contempts of Court Act 1971, and not Contempts of Court Act 1971, but the institutions related to the Contempt of Court Act 1971. So let's discuss about the institutions which are involved. So in India, Supreme Court and High Court under the Constitution of India, they can punish for their contempt. Supreme Court under Article 129 and High Court under Article 215. So under Article 129, the Honorable Supreme Court of India has been recognized or has been said to be the court of record, and High Court under Article 215 has been termed as the court of records. And what do we understand by the term court of records? Anyone? What do we understand by the term court of records? Court of records. Under section 129 of the Constitution of India, Supreme Court has been recognized as the court of record, whereas High Court has been recognized as a court of record under Article 215. So basically, court of record means that both the Supreme Court and High Court has power to punish for its contempt. So recently, the Delhi High Court has initiated contempt proceedings against Arvind Kejriwal and all the Aam Aadmi Party leaders who were involved in the excise policy case. And the contempt proceedings were initiated because they were making a lot of social media posts specifically targeting Justice Swarnakanta Sharma. Right, so the High Court of Delhi, or the Delhi High Court, has taken the cognizance of the same, and by taking the cognizance, they have initiated the contempt of courts proceedings under the Contempt of Courts Act 1971. Right. So if you have any particular question from this topic, you may ask your question. Otherwise, we'll move to the next topic. राइट सो मुझे लग नहीं रहा कि आप लोगों का कोई सवाल है, तो अभी हम नेक्स्ट टॉपिक पे मूव कर सकते हैं. दिस वाज द सेकंड मोस्ट इंपॉर्टेंट टॉपिक जो हमें आज डिस्कस करना था. नो, सो नाउ लेट्स मूव टू द नेक्स्ट डिस्कशन. Right, so let's start with our discussion now. So this was entirely related to the Contempts of Court Act 1971. Now we'll discuss about special intensive revision. So special intensive revision के लिए अभी एक announcement कर दिया Election Commission of India ने. And what is the announcement? That in the third phase it will take place across 16 states and 3 UTs. Right. So let's have a discussion about special intensive revision as well. And this term has been in news for a very long period of time, almost a year now. 11 months तो हो ही गए हैं. Special intensive revision, SIR 3.0. And why I'm saying this SIR 3.0, the reason is very simple, because in the last phase, in the first phase, SIR was conducted in Bihar. In the second phase, SIR was conducted across 9 states plus 3 UTs. And in the third phase, it would be conducted across 16 states plus 3 UTs. Right, so these are the 3 different phases. Phase 1 and phase 2 is already concluded. So now the Election Commission of India has notified about the third phase of SIR across 16 states and 3 UTs, and this exercise will commence from 30th of May 2026. So always please do remember this point that when we talk about special intensive revision, the special intensive revision, uh, what is special intensive revision? Just anyone, what is special intensive revision? Can you explain criminal contempt once again? Okay, fine. So I'll explain it one more time. Criminal contempt. So criminal contempt is basically when any particular action of any individual or institution is is damaging the reputation of the court. आप सिविल कंटेम्प्ट में किसी कोर्ट के किसी ऑर्डर, जजमेंट या डिक्री को एग्जीक्यूट होने से आप उसके अगेंस्ट में रहते हैं, बट अंडर द क्रिमिनल कंटेम्प्ट यू आर डैमेजिंग द अथॉरिटी और यू आर डैमेजिंग द रेपुटेशन ऑफ द कोर्ट ईदर थ्रू स्पोकन और रिटन statements or words, right? So this is the difference between civil contempt and criminal contempt. Am I clear now, Palak? Am I clear? Okay, fine. So we can move to the next point now. हम वापस आ जाते हैं स्पेशल इंटेंसिव रिवीजन पे. सो व्हाट इज स्पेशल इंटेंसिव रिवीजन? सो स्पेशल इंटेंसिव रिवीजन में, फॉर योर अंडरस्टैंडिंग, आई विल टेल यू, in under special intensive revision we basically overhaul or we completely revise the electoral role. What are the important actions that Election Commission of India takes when we talk about special intensive revision? So under special intensive revision, the Election Commission of India will review the entire इलेक्टोरल रोल. जो लोग भी एलिजिबल वोटर होंगे सिर्फ उन्हीं का नाम रहेगा इलेक्टोरल रोल में, एंड दोज हु आर इनएलिजिबल टू रजिस्टर देमसेल्व्स इन द इलेक्टोरल रोल, नेम ऑफ दोज voters would be removed from the electoral roll. Now, so this is the definition of the special intensive revision. Now, when we talk about special intensive revision, so there are a few important provisions in the Constitution of India and the Representation of People's Act जहां से पावर आती है इलेक्शन कमीशन ऑफ इंडिया के पास में SIR कंडक्ट करने की. And the first one is Article 324. So Article 324, what is there in Article 324? Anyone? What is there in Article 324? हाँ, डोर टू डोर जाकर के आप बेसिकली लोगों को एक एन्यूमरेशन फॉर्म देते हैं, जिस एन्यूमरेशन फॉर्म में लोगों को अपनी डिटेल फिल करनी होती है. एंड फाइनली दो आफ्टर दोज डिटेल्स वर फिल्ड बाय द इंडिविजुअल्स, द इलेक्शन कमीशन ऑफ इंडिया विल रिव्यू द एन्यूमरेशन फॉर्म, एंड आफ्टर रिव्यूइंग द एन्यूमरेशन फॉर्म it will check whether you are eligible to register yourself in the electoral roll or not. And if there is any kind of discrepancy in the enumeration form, then this election commission of India will give you one opportunity कि आप अपने claims and objections को raise कर सकें. And finally you will raise your claims and objections, and after reviewing your claims and objections, the election commission of India will finally publish the final electoral roll. Now what is Article 324? So Article 324 empowers the Election Commission of India. And what power has been given to under Article 324? That it gives the power of superintendence. So basically it gives power to control. It gives power to control the preparation of power to preparation of electoral roll for the conducts of for conducting elections for parliament and state legislative assembly. So under Article 324, the Election Commission of India is empowered to prepare the electoral roll before every state legislative assembly election and parliamentary elections. So primarily this power to conduct special intensive revision flows from Article 324. Then we have another important article. So the other important article is Article 326. And what is Article 326? Universal adult franchise. And what is universal adult franchise? That anyone who is any Indian citizen who is not less than 18 years of age, any Indian citizen who is not less than 18 years of age is eligible to register himself or herself in the electoral roll. Getting my point? So the conjoint reading of Article 324 and Article 326 gives power to the Election Commission of India that they can conduct a detailed special intensive revision. Article 324 gives power to revise or to prepare electoral roll before every state legislative assembly election and parliamentary elections. And Article 326 says this, that any Indian citizen who is not less than 18 years of age is eligible or is totally eligible to register himself or herself in the electoral roll. So स्पेशल इंटेंसिव रिवीजन में यही दो चीजें तो इलेक्शन कमीशन ऑफ इंडिया को करनी होती है कि ये देखना होता है कि इंडियन सिटीजन जो 18 साल के ऊपर है वो अपने आप को इलेक्टोरल रोल में अपना नाम रजिस्टर करवा सके और जो इन एलिजिबल वोटर्स हैं वो अपना नाम इलेक्टोरल रोल से रिमूव करवा सके. सो ईसीआई इज एस्टैब्लिश्ड, तो इलेक्शन कमीशन ऑफ इंडिया अक्षु, इलेक्शन कमीशन ऑफ इंडिया इज एस्टैब्लिश्ड अंडर आर्टिकल 324 ऑफ द इंडियन कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन, मेकिंग इट अ कॉन्स्टिट्यूशनल बॉडी. गेटिंग माय पॉइंट अक्षु? Election Commission of India is established under Article 324 and it started its operations on 25th of January 1950. That's why we celebrate National Voters Day on 25th of January every year. Getting my point, students? Just inform me in the chat box. Are you getting my point? अभी तक हमने जितना डिस्कस किया वो आपको समझ में आया? Then we'll discuss few more important points and then we'll move to the next important article. Just say yes or no in the chat box so I can proceed to the next point. Okay, I'm not getting any answer. Okay, sir. Akshu is okay, sir. Okay, fine. Okay, fine. So now we can move to the next point. So the next point that we have to understand. So there is an act which is very important, and that is known as the Representation of People's Act. तो there are three important provisions of the Representation of People's Act जो हमें डिस्कस करने. RPA stands for the Representation of People's Act and the section 16 of the Representation of People's Act. So basically what is section 16 of the Representation of People's Act? So it disqualifies a non-citizen from being enrolled in the electoral roll. From being enrolled in electoral roll. जैसे कि अभी वेस्ट बंगाल में बहुत सारा इशू चल रहा था ना कि बहुत सारे बांग्लादेशी ऐसे थे जिनका नाम इलेक्टोरल रोल में था. सो एज पर द रिप्रेजेंटेशन ऑफ पीपल्स एक्ट 1950 सेक्शन 16 ऑफ द रिप्रेजेंटेशन ऑफ पीपल्स एक्ट, दोज इंडिविजुअल्स आर नॉट एलिजिबल और आर नॉट competent to register themselves in the electoral roll, right? So I guess there is a problem with the camera. जस्ट there's some प्रॉब्लम में थोड़ा सा ब्लर आ रहा है ना, इसको थोड़ा सा ठीक करते हैं. राइट, now it's fine. अभी थोड़ा सा ब्लर आ रहा था ना, अभी it's fine. Now so section 16 disqualifies a non-citizen from being enrolled in the electoral roll. Then we have section 19. And what is given in section 19 of the Representation of People's Act? So section 19 provides for two things, and what are these two things? Section 19 clause A and section 19 clause B. So basically section 19 clause A says this: citizen must not be less than 18 years of age, and this provision B is that he must be an ordinary resident of any constituency, of any constituency. So if the person is not 18 years of age and he is not an ordinary resident of any constituency, then he cannot register himself in the electoral roll. This is absolutely clear, because if you are not a member of any, or if you are not residing in any constituency, then how could you register yourself in the electoral roll? क्योंकि अगर आप किसी constituency का part नहीं है तो फिर आप वोट अपना कहाँ देंगे, और अगर यही नहीं क्लियर है कि आपको वोट कहाँ देना है तो आपका नाम फिर वोटर्स लिस्ट में होकर के इंक्लूड करके क्या क्या किया जाएगा. Now the last section is, I'll change the shade. ये आप याद रखेंगे. Section 21. Section 21 of the Representation of People's Act. And what is Section 21? So Section 21 of the Representation of People's Act deals with the preparation of electoral roll. So the conjoint reading of section 16, 19 and 21. हाँ, आप आज से स्टार्ट कर सकते हैं. जब जागो सब तभी सवेरा. इट्स नेवर टू लेट, इट्स नेवर टू अर्ली. इफ यू हैव that sort of zeal, you can give your zeal, that you can give your 100%, then it's never too late. And still we have almost 206 days before CLAT 2027, so you are absolutely on time. But अब यहाँ से थोड़ा सा हम चीज़ों को पकड़ के रखेंगे, ठीक है. So now moving on to the next point. So the conjoint reading of Article 324 and 326 with Section 16, 19 and 21 of the Representation of People's Act gives power to the Election Commission of India to conduct special intensive revision. So there is no doubt. Now there was a petition in the Supreme Court of India that whether the Election Commission of India is empowered to conduct the special intensive revision or not. So the problem, the answer is very simple. If not the Election Commission of India, then who? If Election Commission of India is not empowered to conduct the special intensive revision, then who will conduct the special intensive revision? So the conjoint reading of Article 324, 326 with Section 16, 19 and 21 of the Representation of People's Act 1951, I guess, it gives power to the Election Commission of India to conduct the special intensive revision. Right? Now, this is all about special intensive revision. हम लोगों ने 3 slides में discuss किया. अगर किसी को नोट्स बनाने हैं तो वो इन स्लाइड्स को रेफर कर सकता है. दिस से 2 स्लाइड्स हैं. This is the first, second and third phase. Then Article 324 and 326, first phase, second phase, third phase. कब से start होगा third phase? Then Section 16, 19 and 21 of the Representation of People's Act 1950. Right. So let's move to the discussion now. तो ये contempt of court और जो special intensive revision था उसके बारे में भी हमने डिस्कस कर लिया. अब हम चलते हैं. India backs two-state solution for Palestine issues, says Jaishankar at BRICS meeting. So we had a lot of discussion about this particular topic, that India is hosting BRICS foreign ministers meet on 14th and 15th of May 2026. And during that particular summit, our external affairs minister have made it absolutely clear that India is in the favor of a two-state solution for Israel and Gaza conflict. Then this is a very sharp remark made by Justice Dipankar Datta, and he is very famous for making sharp remarks. He also made a very sharp remark during this minority judgment related to Aligarh Muslim University, right? So now let's start with the discussion of free and fair elections are dependent on a truly independent polls body set by the Supreme Court of India. So we know this, that there is a petition going on in the Supreme Court of India, and the petition is basically the current petition is challenging the very important legislation that was brought in 2023, and the legislation was the Chief Election Commissioner and the other election commissioners appointment conditions and terms of offices Act 2023. And this particular legislation came into effect after the case of Anup Baranwal versus Union of India. So we have already discussed 2-3 times about this particular judgment. So abhi recently जो ये enactment था, the Chief Election Commissioner and other election commissioners appointment conditions of services and terms of offices Act 2023, इसको challenge किया गया Supreme Court में, and the ground is very simple, that this particular legislation is bypassing the judgment given by the Honorable Supreme Court of India in the case of Anup Baranwal versus Union of India. क्योंकि Anup Baranwal versus Union of India में स्टूडेंट्स जो 3 मेंबर की सिलेक्शन कमेटी सुप्रीम कोर्ट ने रिकमेंड की थी, उसमें कौन कौन मेंबर्स थे? प्राइम मिनिस्टर, चीफ जस्टिस ऑफ इंडिया एंड लीडर ऑफ ऑपोजिशन. प्राइम मिनिस्टर, चीफ जस्टिस ऑफ इंडिया एंड लीडर ऑफ अपोजिशन। बट जो 2023 का लेजिस्लेशन था, इसमें पार्लियामेंट ऑफ इंडिया ने चीफ जस्टिस ऑफ इंडिया को रिप्लेस कर दिया एक यूनियन मिनिस्टर से। सो अभी जस्टिस दीपांकर दत्ता ने यही एक ऑब्जर्वेशन मेड, मतलब की है, यही ऑब्जर्वेशन है। ऑब्जर्वेशन ये है कि व्हाट इज द रेलेवेंस ऑफ हैविंग अ यूनियन मिनिस्टर इन द सिलेक्शन कमिटी, and how you could assure the people of this country that this entire selection committee is fair। अभी फेयर है या नहीं है वो बात का डिस्कशन है, बट फेयर लगना तो चाहिए, क्योंकि फेयर नहीं लग रहा है। क्योंकि क्यों नहीं लग रहा है? क्योंकि दो जो मेंबर्स हैं सिलेक्शन कमेटी के वो रूलिंग पार्टीज हैं, प्राइम मिनिस्टर एंड द यूनियन मिनिस्टर। सो द जजमेंट और द डिसीजन विल ऑलवेज बी इन द फेवर ऑफ द रूलिंग पार्टी। सो लीडर ऑफ अपोजिशन का जो स्टैंड होगा वो उसका कोई यूज नहीं रहेगा। सो जस्टिस दीपांकर दत्ता हैज सेड कि भाई जो election commission of India, it should be an independent body. It should conduct elections in a free and fair manner. If the union minister is a part of the selection committee, then how could you say this, that this committee or this selection committee is working impartially, right? So to counter the argument given by Justice Dipankar Datta, the Attorney General of India, Mr. R. Venkataramani, has said in the Supreme Court that it is not the duty of the Parliament of India to satisfy the conscience of the Supreme Court of India. The duty of the Parliament of India is to legislate on this important subject matters and to make correct laws. So if the opinion of the Supreme Court of India is different from the legislation which has been enacted by the constitution of enacted by the Parliament of India, so this particular different per se will not render any particular legislation as अनकॉन्स्टिट्यूशनल और अनलॉफुल, राइट। तो अभी इसमें बहुत मजा आने वाला है आप लोगों को, ये पूरा जब डिस्कशन जब ये पूरा हियरिंग कंक्लूड होगा तो आपको बहुत बहुत मजा आने वाला है, राइट। नाउ विल मूव टू द नेक्स्ट पॉइंट। Editorial में we have two articles, and these two articles are basically, the first one is related to the West Asian conflict and the Iran war, India's strategic autonomy challenges, right? So how this current war that is happening in Iran, West Asian conflict is will challenge the strategic autonomy of India, and how the efforts made by the Indian government in past 1 decade are basically being tested during this entire West Asian conflict। क्योंकि एक बहुत से लोग ये सवाल पूछ रहे थे कि पाकिस्तान क्यों मीडिएशन टॉक्स या पीस टॉक्स होस्ट करा, व्हाई नॉट इंडिया? So because we have those kind of diplomatic strategy, we have that kind of diplomatic strategy where we could not afford to host these peace talks, because we share good bond with Iran, we share good bond with the United States of America, and we share good bond with the state of Israel, and we also share good bond with all these countries in the Middle East, right? So that's why we could not afford to host the these sensitive peace talks. So this particular West Asian conflict would ultimately challenge the authority of the India in the West Asia. Then it is related to the preventive health culture in India. So basically most of the time, see the articles in the newspaper in the editorial section, they lack a lot of factual information. So they have a lot of philosophical context which can be relevant for your passage, but it doesn't involve or it doesn't have a lot of information, factual information. So जो current affairs और जीके के perspective से कई बार ये जो आर्टिकल होते हैं वो थोड़ा सा यूजफुल कम होते हैं, इसीलिए हमें यहाँ पर अपना टाइम बचाना चाहिए। और अब हम आगे मूव करेंगे। Text and context section is also the capital flight and the pressure on the rupee. So how this current geopolitical situation is eroding India's foreign exchange reserve, and that erosion in the foreign exchange reserve is putting a lot of pressure on the Indian rupee। हम तो Indian rupee अभी 96 रुपीस के आसपास में है। फिर ये सारी चीजें हम डिस्कस कर चुके हैं। अभी एक इम्पॉर्टेंट यहाँ पे ऑब्जर्वेशन ये है, सो बेसिकली कल परसों डे बिफोर यस्टरडे द अथॉरिटीज फ्रॉम इजराइल मेड अ वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट क्लेम। और व्हाट वाज दैट क्लेम? कि जब ये पूरा वेस्ट एशियन कॉन्फ्लिक्ट चल रहा था तो उस टाइम पर द प्राइम मिनिस्टर ऑफ इजराइल बेंजामिन नेतन्याहू ही विजिटेड यूनाइटेड अरब ऑफ एमिरेट्स। नाउ यूनाइटेड अरब ऑफ एमिरेट्स इज रिफ्यूटिंग द क्लेम कि बेंजामिन नेतन्याहू नहीं आए थे हमारे कंट्री में, राइट। अब ये आप हाईलाइट देखिए और दूसरा हाईलाइट देखिए, ईरान अगाची सेज यूएई एक्टिव पार्टनर इन द यूएस इजरायली वॉर, एंड व्हाई मिस्टर Abbas Aragachi is making this particular claim that UAE is playing an active role, because the statement was given by the Israeli media that during this entire West Asian conflict, the Prime Minister of Israel traveled to United Arab of Emirates to discuss. Yes, we'll have a question and answer section, Palak. Don't worry about that. We'll have that, right? So this is something which we have to understand, and that's why there are very less chances कि इतना जल्दी अभी peace होने वाला है. देन लैंड प्रॉमिस टू अस. सो बेसिकली ये सदर्न लेबनन से रिलेटेड है. हम लोगों ने डिस्कस किया था कि लतानी रिवर के जो नीचे वाला पार्ट है दैट इज सदर्न लेबनन. तो वहां पर बहुत से इजरायली फाइटर्स को ये प्रॉमिस किया गया है कि आपको सदर्न लेबनन में हम सेटलमेंट के लिए एरियाज देंगे. और सदर्न लेबनन पे तो अब क्लेम भी इजराइल ने कर दिया ना कि दैट बिलोंग्स टू द स्टेट ऑफ that belongs to Israel. Southern Lebanon is the integral part of Lebanon, right? So this is one important this is basically our favorite part of everyday's analysis session, where we solve question and answers, right? So right now we'll start with our discussion, and you have to be very much responsive in the comment section. And also you have to ensure that before we end this today's class, we should have minimum 20 likes on this video, right? That's your responsibility. You have to ensure that we should have minimum 20 likes. Now let's start with the discussion now. So I always say this कि अगर आप इस analysis session को daily follow कर रहे हैं, अगर आप रेगुलरली फॉलो करेंगे, तो द फर्स्ट थिंग दैट आई हैव अ बिट अनकन्वेंशनल अप्रोच कि मैं आपको यूपीएससी की प्रिपरेशन नहीं करवा रहा हूं, मैं आपको सिविल सर्विसेज एग्जामिनेशन की प्रिपरेशन नहीं करवा रहा हूं, मैं आपको कॉमन लॉ एडमिशन टेस्ट और अदर लॉ एंट्रेंस टेस्ट जो होते हैं उसकी प्रिपरेशन करवा रहा हूं. सो दिस इज माय रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी कि मैं आपके साथ में वो सारे पॉइंट डिस्कस करूं जो क्लैट और अदर लॉ एंट्रेंस टेस्ट के लिए रेलेवेंट है. मैं आपको कभी वो फैक्ट नहीं बताऊंगा जो यूपीएससी सिविल सर्विसेज एग्जामिनेशन के लिए रेलेवेंट है, बिकॉज वही सेम न्यूज़पेपर यूपीएससी के स्टूडेंट्स के लिए भी रेलेवेंट है, वही सेम न्यूज़पेपर क्लैट के लिए भी रेलेवेंट है, वही सेम न्यूज़पेपर एसएससी के स्टूडेंट्स के लिए भी रेलेवेंट है. बट कोई ना कोई तो ऐसा डिफरेंशिएशन लाइन होगा ना कि कोई ना कुछ तो ऐसा डिफरेंट होगा ना हर एग्जाम में. बट मैं ऐसा देखता हूं कि लोग बहुत डिटेल डिस्कशन करते हैं. डिटेल डिस्कशन इज इंपॉर्टेंट, जैसे हमने कंटेम्प्ट ऑफ कोर्ट में किया, ठीक है, स्पेशल इंटेंसिव रिवीजन में किया. सो देयर आर टॉपिक्स, बट वो एक फाइन लाइन हमें हमेशा क्रिएट करके रखनी चाहिए कि व्हाट इज रेलेवेंट फॉर आवर एग्जामिनेशन. बिकॉज न्यूज़पेपर आपको ऑलमोस्ट 250-300 दिन लोग न्यूज़पेपर एनालिसिस करते हैं, राइट? 7-8 मंथ्स, राइट? 8-9 मंथ्स, राइट? और उसके अलावा फिर आपकी जो पीडीएफ्स होती हैं, क्लास नोट्स होते हैं, ऑल दोस थिंग्स. तो बेसिकली आपको सिर्फ एग्जामिनेशन में करंट अफेयर्स और जीके थोड़ी ना पढ़ना, यू हैव टू कवर ऑल द एस्पेक्ट्स, राइट? सो लेट्स स्टार्ट विद द डिस्कशन नाउ. सो टुडेज the question and answer section is related to the non-cooperation movement, and we will solve 10 questions. याद रखिएगा कि सिर्फ पिछले साल इस बार क्लैट 2026 में स्टैटिक जीके से क्वेश्चंस नहीं थे, बट क्लैट 2024-25 में स्टैटिक जीके से एक पैसेज पूछा गया था. तो हम ये इंश्योर करेंगे कि स्टैटिक जीके के जितने इंपॉर्टेंट टॉपिक्स हैं हम हर वीक एक दो टॉपिक सॉल्व करके हम उन्हें क्वेश्चन आंसर्स के थ्रू पूरा स्टैटिक जीके हम न्यूज़पेपर एनालिसिस में कवर कर ले, राइट? सो लेट्स स्टार्ट विद द डिस्कशन नाउ. So the first question is, in which of the following sessions did the Indian National Congress first approve the non-cooperation program until the Punjab and Khilafat? Until the Punjab and Khilafat wrongs were removed. So we have the first question. In which of the following sessions did the Indian National Congress finally approve the non-cooperation movement? The first option is Nagpur session of December 1920, special session at Calcutta September 1920, Allahabad All Party Conference June 1920, Amritsar session 1919. Anyone? Question number 1. Question number 1. What is the correct answer for question number 1? Anyone? Question number 1. No, it's not too early. It's never too early when we start preparing for examination. It's always on time, because 2 years में you can easily target tier 1 NLU कि आप एकदम अश्योर हो सकते हैं कि I want single digit rank, राइट? तो वैसा भी कर सकते हैं, और आप चीज़ों को थोड़ा सा ब्रॉडर अंडरस्टैंडिंग के साथ में भी समझ सकते हैं, बिकॉज क्लैट इज ऑल अबाउट टाइम मैनेजमेंट, सो यू हैव मोर टाइम, सो आपके लिए थोड़ा सा चीज़ें आसान रहेंगी. नाउ क्वेश्चन नंबर 1. एनीवन? आई एम वेटिंग फॉर योर रिस्पॉन्स नाउ. क्वेश्चन नंबर 1. So every single person who has said option B for question number 1 is absolutely correct. Now the reasoning is, the Nagpur session of 1920 was basically related to the endorsement of non-cooperation movement. When we talk about the approval of the non-cooperation movement, so the approval was made in special session at Calcutta in September 1920. So this is the first question. Now we'll move to the question number 2. Who among the following leaders organized the anti-union board agitation in the Kontai and Tamluk subdivisions of Midnapur during the movement. तो हम बेसिकली इजी, मॉडरेट और डिफिकल्ट तीनों लेवल के क्वेश्चंस कवर करते हैं. फर्स्ट वन वाज द इजी, सेकंड वन इज डिफिकल्ट. हु अमंग द फॉलोइंग लीडर्स ऑर्गेनाइज द एंटी यूनियन बोर्ड एजिटेशन इन द Kontai and Tamluk subdivisions of Midnapur during the movement? ऑप्शन ए बीरेंद्र नाथ सासमल, ऑप्शन बी जेएम सेन गुप्ता, ऑप्शन सी बाबा रामचंद्र एंड ऑप्शन डी सी राजगोपालाचारी. So for question number 2, the correct option is, for question number 2, the correct option is, for question number 2, absolutely correct. So for question number 2, the correct option is Birendra Nath Sasmal, whereas J.M. Sen Gupta led the movement in Assam and Baba Ramchandra led the movement in Uttar Pradesh. Right. So for question number 2, in the Kontai and Tamluk subdivision of Midnapur, it was Birendra Sasmal who led the non-cooperation movement. Now we'll move to question number 3. Regarding the organizational changes in the Congress during the 1920 Nagpur session, a Congress working committee was set up to lead the party. How many members does this committee consist of? Regarding the organizational changes in the Congress during the 1920 Nagpur session, so Nagpur session के टाइम पे क्या किया गया था, इस मूवमेंट को इंडोर्स किया गया था. उस टाइम पे कांग्रेस वर्किंग कमेटी के स्ट्रक्चर में चेंज करने की बात की गई थी. हाउ मेनी मेंबर्स डिड दिस कमिटी कंसिस्ट ऑफ? A 10, B 15, C 20, D 25. So for question number 3, the correct option is option B. The Congress Working Committee was approved with a membership strength of 15. 15 members were appointed to lead the party in an efficient manner. Right. Now we'll move to question number 3. Absolutely correct. Question number 3 is option B. Now we'll move to question number 4. The Tilak Swaraj Fund, announced as a homage to Bal Gangadhar Tilak on his first death anniversary, aimed to collect which of the following amounts to aid the freedom struggle? Option A rupees 50 lakh, option B rupees 1 crore, C 5 crore, D 10 crore. So for question number 4, the correct option is, for question number 4, the correct option is rupees 1 crore, option B. So this Tilak Swaraj Fund was announced with the fund with the financial allocation of rupees 1 crore, and this money was supposed to be used in the constructive work to be done during the non-cooperation movement. So for question number 4, the correct option is option B. Then we'll move to question number 5. In the context of the Khilafat movement, Khilafat issue, what was the primary reason for the movement losing its relevance and eventually being abolished in 1924? So when we talk about non-cooperation movement, we never talk about non-cooperation movement in isolation. We always talk about Khilafat movement, because both non-cooperation movement and Khilafat movement started in 1920, but non-cooperation movement was withdrawn in 1922, but Khilafat movement was abolished in 1924. So what was the reason behind the abolition of Khilafat movement in 1924? Khilafat movement was started by Ali brothers Muhammad Ali and Shaukat Ali. So we have 4 options. The British government accepted all demands of the Ali brothers, that's why it was abolished in 1924. Option B, the Indian National Congress withdrew support after Chauri Chaura, that's why it was abolished in 1924. Turkey was made a secular state and the Khilafat was abolished by Mustafa Kemal Pasha. And D, the Treaty of Sevres was overturned by the House of Lords, that's why it was abolished in 1924. For question number 5, what is the correct option? For question number 5, students, for question number 5, the correct option is option C, because in 1924 Mustafa Kemal Pasha led the Turkish revolution. That he led the Turkish revolution, and after this Turkish revolution was successful, he abolished the post of Khalifa itself. So once the post of Khalifa was abolished by Mustafa Kemal Pasha, so they have to abolish the खिलाफत मूवमेंट, क्योंकि जब खिलाफत मूवमेंट पूरा हो ही इसलिए रहा था कि तुर्की में जो खलीफा का ऑफिस था उसकी पोजीशन को, उसकी पावर्स को रिस्टोर करने के लिए हो रहा था. बट जब 1924 में मुस्तफ़ा कमल पाशा ने टर्किश रेवोल्यूशन के बाद में खिलाफत की जो खलीफा की जो पोजीशन थी, ऑफिस था, उसी को अबॉलिश कर दिया. सो अल्टीमेटली इट ऑल्सो led to the abolition of Khilafat movement in India in 1924. Now we'll move to question number 6. Which of the following pairs of leaders and their respective regions of activities during the non-cooperation movement is incorrectly matched? J.M. Sen Gupta, Assam, मदारी पासी यूनाइटेड प्रोविंस एका मूवमेंट, मोतीलाल तेजावत राजस्थान भील मूवमेंट, अल्लूरी सीताराम राजू केरला एंटी जेमिनी स्ट्रगल्स. Which pair is not correctly matched in question number 6? So for question number 6, what is the correct option? For question number 6, the correct option is option D. Alluri Sitaram Raju led the forest movement not in Kerala, but he led the tribal forest movement in Andhra Pradesh. Right. So for question number 6, the incorrect pair is option D. All the above mentioned pair in question number 6, option A, B, C are absolutely correct. Now we'll move to question number 7. On which specific date in 1920 was the non-cooperation campaign formally inaugurated by Mahatma Gandhi? Option A 1st August, option B 31st August, option C 13th April, and option D 11th February. What is the correct option for question number 7? What is the specific date on which Mahatma Gandhi formally launched the non-cooperation movement? Right, 1st August, 31st August, 13th April, or 11th February. So please remember this. Uh, Non-cooperation movement was launched by Mahatma Gandhi, formally inaugurated by Mahatma Gandhi on 1st of August 1920, but it was halted. और क्यों halt कर दिया गया था? Because of the death of Bal Gangadhar Tilak. Bal Gangadhar Tilak died on the same day. That's why non-cooperation movement was halted for a specific period of time. But formally it was inaugurated on 1st of August 1920. Then we have another question, question number 8. Which specific incident led Mahatma Gandhi to announce the immediate withdrawal of the non-cooperation movement in February 1922? So question number 8 is the easy one. Question number 8 is the easy one. For question number 8, we have 4 options: the Mopila revolt in Kerala, the Jallianwala Bagh massacre, the Chauri Chaura incident in Uttar Pradesh, or the arrest of the Ali brothers led to the withdrawal of non-cooperation movement. This question is very easy. आप सब लोगों का इसका आंसर पता होगा. And for question number 8, the correct answer is for question number 8. Everyone, please answer the question. Question number 8. Exactly. So the Chauri Chaura incident. So Chauri Chaura is a place in Gorakhpur where these protesters, they burnt a police station. 22 policemen were killed. And after this particular information reached to the Mahatma Gandhi, finally Mahatma Gandhi withdrew the non-cooperation movement after this Chauri Chaura incident. During the movement, several national educational institutions were established. Which of the following was not among the institutions mentioned in the text? गुजरात विद्यापीठ, जामिया मिलिया इस्लामिया, काशी विद्यापीठ, बनारस हिंदू यूनिवर्सिटी. कौन सा स्पेसिफिक इंस्टीट्यूशन नॉन कोऑपरेशन मूवमेंट के टाइम पर स्टैब्लिश नहीं हुआ था उस टाइम पीरियड में? इट्स अ इजी क्वेश्चन, इट्स अ इजी वन. इफ यू हैव रेड अबाउट महात्मा गांधी तो आप इसको इजीली बता सकते हैं. क्वेश्चन नंबर 9, एनीवन? D, absolutely correct. Because inauguration of Banaras Hindu University took place in 1916, 1916, and during the inauguration of Banaras Hindu University, Mahatma Gandhi gave his first public speech. So it was in 1916. So it was not during the non-cooperation movement. Now we'll move to the next question, question number 10. The Mopila revolt, which became intense during the non-cooperation period, occurred in which region of India? Andhra, Kerala, Karnataka, Punjab. So we have already discussed it. Question number 10. So Mopila revolt was against the landlord and it was centered in Kerala. So for question number 10, the correct option is option B. So this is all about today's analysis session, guys. हम हर दिन 7:45 पे सेशन स्टार्ट करेंगे. विल सी यू टुमारो एट द सेम टाइम एट 7:45. आई ऑलवेज बिलीव दिस दैट यू शुड हैव अ थिंग कॉल्ड सेल्फ बिलीव. इफ you believe that you can crack this examination, ultimately you will crack this examination. No one in this world can stop you from cracking this examination. But let me tell you one thing. This is a very important thing जो आपको समझ में आना चाहिए. और ये है, और ये चीज़ क्या है? ये चीज़ है basically it's about the self belief. कि अगर आप मानते हैं आप इस एग्जाम को क्रैक कर सकते हैं, यू विल क्रैक इट. एंड अल्टीमेटली आई लाइक टू एंड दिस सेशन विद वन पर्टिकुलर थॉट, एंड आई ऑलवेज से दिस कि जब आंखों में अरमान लिया, मंजिल को अपना मान लिया, फिर मुश्किल का और आशा क्या, जो ठान लिया वो ठान लिया. दिस इज योर टाइम, you have immense energy, channelize your energy, use your time in a better and effective manner, and we'll see you tomorrow at the same time. With on that note, this side Abhay Singh will take your leave now. Take a good care of yourself, keep yourself hydrated so that we can start this session every day at 7:45 with full efficiency. Do like this video, subscribe to the channel, and wait for the another session. On a count of 3, we'll wrap up today's session. 1, 2,